Hello, today we will be talking about the carbon cycle by Monica, Mary, Levi, Brady, Helen, and Oscar. The carbon cycle is a biochemical cycle by which carbon is exchanged among the biosphere and the atmosphere of the Earth. It involves many organisms and ecosystems to operate efficiently. Trees, soil, animals, plants, and the sun, and all sorts of other organisms are daily contributors to the carbon cycle. The carbon cycle never ends. Sunlight goes to photosynthesis, the roots of the tree are decaying organic carbon, it does waste products, it has fossils, fossil fuels, root respiration, plant respiration, animal respiration, auto and factory emissions, and also the ocean. Photosynthesis is a process used by plants to convert light energy into chemical energy that can be later released to fuel organisms' activities. Other types of organisms, such as animals, fungi, and a large portion of the bacteria, are unable to perform this process. Therefore, these organisms must rely on the carbohydrates formed in plants to obtain the energy necessary in their metabolic processes, as well as oxygen. Another major exchange of CO2 occurs between the ocean and the atmosphere. Carbon dioxide enters the water of the ocean by simple diffusion. Once dissolved in seawater, the carbon dioxide can remain as it is or can be converted into carbonate or biocarbonate ions. When organisms die, their shells and body parts sink to the ocean floor where they accumulate as carbonate-rich deposit. After long periods of time, these deposits are altered into sedimentary rock. Ocean deposits are by far the biggest sink of carbon in the planet. It is the dramatic balance between the CO2 content of the atmosphere and the biological-driven net transport of organic and inorganic carbon in the deep ocean, which largely determines the atmospheric CO2 levels. A carbon sink is a natural or artificial reservoir that accumulates and stores some carbon-containing chemical compound for an indefinite period. The process by which carbon sinks remove carbon dioxide, CO2, from the atmosphere is known as carbon sequestration. Cellular respiration is a process of oxidizing food molecules like glucose into carbon dioxide and water. This process creates energy in the form of ATP, abbreviation for adenosine triphosphate, for the cell to use it in any way it needs. Mitochondria are the organelles responsible for the conversion of possible energy from food molecules into ATP, carbon dioxide, and water. During the Paleozoic era, tons of volcano eruptions spewed lava, ash, and gases like carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. The lava fell on the ground right away. Most of the ash fell to the ground within a few days or weeks, but the carbon dioxide stayed in the atmosphere for hundreds of years. Today, the amount of volcanic eruptions is very low compared to other times in the past. Yet the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is high because of the burning forest and fossil fuels. Humans impact the carbon cycle during the combustion of any type of fossil fuel, which may include oil, coal, or natural gas. Fossil fuels were formed very long ago from plant or animal remains that were buried, compressed, and transformed into oil, coal, or natural gas. The carbon is said to be fixed in place and is essentially locked out of the natural carbon cycle. Humans intervene by collecting and burning the fossil fuels. During combustion, the presence of air, carbon dioxide, and water molecules are released into the atmosphere, adding more CO2 to the atmosphere than natural. Bacteria and fungi break down and decompose organic material like leaves. The nutrients and carbon from dead, decomposed organisms go back into the soil to be used again by plants, which in turn get consumed by animals passing the carbon on. The carbon is then returned to the soil through animal waste. Then those die, they decompose, continuing the carbon cycle. Weathering in sedimentary deposits. Through several chemical reactions and tectonic activity, carbon takes about 100 to 200 million years to move between rocks, soil, ocean, and the atmosphere in the slow carbon cycle. The certain way that the carbon in the atmosphere moves into the lithosphere rocks begins with rain. The atmospheric carbon combines with rain to form weak acid carbonic acid that falls to the surface in rain. The acid then dissolves the rock, a process called chemical weathering, and releases calcium, magnesium, potassium, or sodium ions. Then finally the rivers carry the ions to the ocean. Once in the ocean, the ions form a bicarbonate ions to form calcium carbonate. Thank you for watching the video on the carbon cycle.